Welcome! My name is Debbie and this is Pouring My Art Out for the Lord, and I have a really neat little project for you today. This is a design team project for Scrimping Mommy, and she designed a beautiful kit called the Secret Garden, and I've used some papers and some ephemera from the collection, and I've also got a couple of pages from her Journaling Basics paper. So let me just show you what I am going to make. This is my prototype. So I've got, it's kind of like a flip here. I've got it fastened with a piece of Velcro, and it opens up like this. And there's a pocket here and a couple of pieces of ephemera here. This was in the add-on kit, and there's lines on the back, and I also just left one side open and left it for a little tuck, so I put one of the flashcards from the add-on collection in there, and this was also in the add-on collection, just a really nice little journaling card there. And then I put two papers in. This is from the Journaling Basics Pages kit. And I just sewed that into here so there's a little bit of journaling space. And then in the back I put one of the journaling cards and a little coin envelope. And I made another pocket for that. And then the back I left plain. My intention for this is to turn it into a belly band. So you can put it on your journaling page and just glue these two sides, and then you will also have a belly band. But you could also use it just as a tuck. You could put another pocket on the back if you like. All kinds of little things that you could do with this one. So I'll show you what you need to put this together. We're going to make another one, and it's going to be basically the same, just slightly different papers and ephemera. So I selected a different paper this time. And I selected this collage print, so we're going to make one from this. Beautiful papers, just, I love all of the, it's just so interesting to look at all of the different components in there, so I just love that one. And then I have a page from the Journaling Basics pages, well, two pages. There's a lace print and a dotted grid, and I'm going to cut that in half, and that's going to be our journaling pages. And then this I had made just several months ago, maybe even longer than that. I just took some deli paper one day and stamped with a bunch of my stamps until it was full, and I used part of it to line this one, and I'm going to use part of it to line this project. This one is going to be a tiny bit short this way, but I will ink it in. I think it'll look fine. So I think I might have a video showing how to do this if you're interested. And then I have two pieces of cardstock. I just wanted something to contrast for the pockets. So I just had some cardstock that matched the dark green on there, so I embossed it just for a little bit of interest. So that's my two pockets. And I'll give you measurements and everything in a couple minutes. I used a piece of trim for the other one. I'll probably do the same for this one. I have a different cover label, and then I just have all the bits and pieces, the journaling card. Here's the coin envelope, a couple of the tickets and sentiments, and a couple of these were blank labels and I just stamped on them. And there's that little journaling card and a bigger ticket and a flashcard and another piece of that ephemera. This is the purple sweet purple violet. I just love these prints. They're just so beautiful. So let's get started. If you're just here to look at the end, fast forward to the end and I'll do a little bit of a flip through. If you want to see how it's made, stay tuned and I will show you. So the first thing I want to do is cut my folio to size, and I decided to make this 6 inches high by the whole width of the paper. If you're using A4 paper, you can just use my measurements, and your flap here will be slightly longer, and it will work perfectly fine. So I'm just going to cut this down to 6 inches on my trimmer here. And this we can reserve for another use. And then I want to, while I have the trimmer out here, let's just cut this paper as well. I just want to cut this in half. So in my measurements, it's 5.5. If you're using A4, you can fold and tear it, or I'm not sure what the half point is on A4, but mine is 5.5 inches on letter size. So then you can bring out your scoring board. So put your paper face up with the top edge against the top edge of your scoring board. And we want to make just 2 scores, one at 4.5 inches and one at 9.25 inches. And if you're using A4, that's fine. You'll just have a little bit longer flap there. So that's all we have to do there. And I'm just going to pre-fold these. I'm going to fold them again after we line it, but it'll help just to kind of get that going. And then I'm just going to, you can print on the back of this paper, you can line it with, you know, whatever you want, but I just had this and I thought it looked interesting in the background, so I'm going to use that. See, it's not quite, I could make my folio a little bit shorter, or I could just, once you sew and ink and stuff, I don't think you'll even notice that it was a little bit short. So I'm just going to put some of my glue here. I'm also going to sew around it. So if you're going to sew, you don't really need to have edge-to-edge coverage. If I was not going to sew, I would do this, and then I would also put liquid glue all the way around. But if you're not sewing, but if you are sewing, rather, then you don't need to do that. I was just thinking I probably want the stitches to catch this. So I think, even though I said I was not going to do this, I think I'm going to trim this down just a smidge so that I can have it completely covered, because I think I want this deli paper caught in the stitching. It's good to change your mind on the fly to adapt to, you know, whatever you have on hand. If you have something that's a little bit shorter, a little bit different shape, whatever, you can always do that. So I'm just going to trim that edge off. So it'll be slightly shorter. Let me just trim the edge off here so I can have a nice even edge to measure. Okay, and then let's see, 5 3/4 at that point. I think that'll do it. Maybe not quite. Just a smidge more. There we go. So there's the start of our base, and I'm just going to trim off this side as well. A little bit of overhang from the lining. So there's the beginning of our folio. Now we can take the lines where we folded and we can rescore it. A little bit of an overhang here too. Let me just get rid of that. I think I'll get out my scoring board again because I think it'll just help with the folding. So again, I want to score it 4.5. Okay, hang on here. Yeah, 4.5, that's right. 4.5, and the other one was at 9.25. And then we can just fold those again. So at this point, I'm just going to put this aside actually to dry for a minute while we prepare a couple of other things, and then I will stitch it. I don't like stitching when my glue is still really wet because it can gum up your machine. So I will do that. Just let this sit for a minute. I'm going to round these two corners of the folio. And that deli paper underneath does not always give you a nice crisp chomp, so I'll just help it along here with my scissors. So there we go. So we'll just put that aside for a minute. So these pages we want to fold in half. So if I'm not worried about the exact measurement, I often just put my pages into the scoring board like this and fold them this way, and everything is snuggled up to that upper left-hand corner, and give it a fold, and then it's very precisely in half, just in case your paper's off a little bit or whatever. So there is our pages for that, and I'm going to also sew those in. I'll just show you that in a second. Let's make our coin envelope. So Amanda's already got all the scoring lines on here to make it easy for us. So we can just line it up here. And I'm just going to line this up on my 6-inch. That's just my habit to do it. I darkened my 6-inch, which I have to do again because it's not really darkened anymore. In fact, I have to clean off my whole board now that I look at it. But then I can see at the top it's 6 inches, and I can also make sure that the bottom part is lined up at the 6 inches. Otherwise, if you just line it up anywhere, you're not sure if this line is the same as, you know, where you started. I hope that makes sense. I learned that trick from another YouTuber or several other YouTubers in the past, and I've used that so many times now. So there we have all the scores done. So I'm just going to fold that up. And I've been using, I usually use vintage photo, but for distressing. This time, because the colors are a little more delicate, I've decided to use tea dye for this one. So one side will go over the other side. You can decide which side you want on the top, and just give that side a little bit of an ink. Just going to ink this upper edge here a little bit. Those inside pieces will not be shown. And then I'm just going to ink a little bit where we folded. These coin envelopes are so cute. And this one here. There, I think I got them all. And then to put this together, I just take my liquid glue, and you just decide which side you want folded over where. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to do this one on the right hand side over the left hand side. So just put a little line of glue on the one side and fold it over and press that on, and then I'm going to glue the bottom flap up. So I'm just going to do a little line of glue around that and press that up. I'm just going to take my bone folder and reinforce those folds again, and I'm just going to leave the coin envelope open so I can tuck some little goodie in there. So the last one I made, I had a little label on here, but let me see if the label will fit with, I don't want to cover up the pretty little girl here, so let's just see how that would work. Could do it down there, could do it up there, that's going to hide her too much. Or I could do it on the other side like that. I think that would look better, so I'm going to do that. This label was a little bit large for the front of this coin envelope, so I thought I would fold it in half, and I just took some stamps and just stamped on either side of it. just for a little bit of interest and because I didn't want my own handwriting there. And there we go. So there's our little coin envelope. So that's ready to go. Here's our, this comes like this on the page of ephemera. I printed on the back. I printed on the back of everything with just one of the subtle papers from the Secret Garden kit. And this one I'm going to do the same way as I did the first one. I'm just going to glue, the bottom's already attached. I'm going to glue the top and the left hand side and leave this part open. So just a fine line of glue there again. And press that on. And there we have our little pocket thing. So we can put that aside. These pockets, I'm going to put a little notch in them. I often use my oval punch for the notches. It makes the hole not as deep, which I kind of like. And I'm just going to mark. I can use a green pen on a green cardstock's not going to show. So sometimes I like to just make sure they're in the center. Sometimes I don't worry about it. But so I'm going to line this one up on here. This piece is 6 inches by 1.5 inches. You can use whatever you want, but this is going to be the vertical tuck. So I'm just going to make a little mark halfway, which is 3 inches. And I'm going to put a notch in there like that. And that one is ready to go. And then this one measures 4 1/4 by 2.5 inches. And this is our horizontal pocket. So if I don't want to measure or figure out exactly where 1/8 of an inch is or whatever on my board here, I just sort of center it in between, like I'll overhang the same amount visually. I just look at with my eyes between 8 and 12. I usually do it, you know, between 1 and 4, but I'm trying to make sure I'm staying in frame here. And then I just put a mark in the center of that. So however you mark it is fine. And then just eyeball the center of that. And put a little ink on there. So then our pockets are ready to go. This one I backed onto some coffee dyed cardstock to make it a little firmer. So our journal card is ready to go. This is backed. All of these are backed. And I inked the parts that were going to be seen. I think that's everything that I need to prepare. This one I also had a label on, so I think I'll just put a label on here as well. I think I'll put it on over here or over here. Sometimes it's best not to overthink these things. You can, you know, if it looks visually appealing, just put it there. You don't have to analyze it. You know, if there's a straight line here, if there's a straight line here, maybe I should balance this over here. And a lot of art is just visual, the visual appeal. So that is done. So I'm just going to pause the camera for a second, and I'm going to sew around the edges of this whole folio. Actually, I'll probably do this first. I'm going to put this into the signature, or put the signature into the fold of the folio there. And I'm going to stitch with a really long stitch, probably like 4, I'm not sure what that is, number 4 on my sewing machine. Down there, so I'm going to stitch the signature in, and then I'm going to sew. Just looking at this now, the other one I had more room at the top and bottom because this one I cut down. I think I better sew around the edge first because otherwise I'm going to catch this. So I'll sew around the whole edge, all 4 sides, and then I will stitch this in, and then I will ink around the edges of this, and then I will be right back. Okay, I've sewn around all of the edges and inked the edges. I was just looking, I think on my last one, I put the pockets on first, and then I sewed around the edges. This one, I don't know, I kind of decided that I wasn't sure how thread would look through kind of a solid color like that, so I decided to glue those on afterwards, but you could put those on first and then sew around. And just another tip for sewing in the signature, what I did is I folded this where we had folded it and inked it a little bit so I could have a line to follow when I stitched. And then I just put these pages where I wanted them. And I don't know if you've ever seen these before. I just bought these, I think it was AliExpress, like very inexpensively. I'd seen other people use them and they're just fantastic. So on these particular ones, there's a flat side, the clear side is flat, and then the other side is bumpy. So I put the flat side on the side that I want down on the sewing machine, if that makes sense. So then I clip it like this, and then I flip it over, and now the flat side is on the bottom, and then I just stitch down there and it works perfectly. So just in case you've never done that before, that's just a little tip. Okay, so let's get our pockets put on. So I have a pocket for here, and I think I'll just glue that like kind of inside the stitches. So because this is a little bit bumpy because of the embossing, I'm going to add just a little bit more glue than I normally would and snuggle that into the stitching there. I could have also used this for my pockets. You know, I might do that. I think I might do that. I think I'll like that better. Okay, change of plans again. So I like the green with contrast to this side, but I think it's a little much for inside there. So I want to cut, normally it would be 6 inches, but I trimmed my folio down a little bit. So I've got just a smidge over 5 3/4. So I'm going to do 5 3/4 plus a smidge. And that will be, now do I want, yeah, good. So that'll be my vertical tuck. And then my other one will be 4 1/4. Yeah, I like this idea better because then you can use your scraps up. I didn't do that on the first one because I had this purple paper from the kit and I really liked how that went with the purple here too. But let's change our mind. Okay, so that will fit in there nicely. So I want to make a notch again in the center. And ink around that. And then these ones I could have stitched in, but I'm not going to stitch again. I could do like a stitching just around the pockets just to kind of, and then glue them in, but I think this will look fine. Okay, make sure I got this right. This is the back here. I almost put that in the wrong spot too. Sometimes it's hard to think and film at the same time. I normally don't talk when I craft, when I'm by myself. Maybe some people do, I don't. So rambling and talking and trying to think at the same time is kind of foreign to me. Okay, so do we want this whole, I really like this piece. I think I'll use that whole piece. So we've got it a little bit long. So I'm just going to fit that in there and trim it off so I can get my center notch in the right spot. And then do I want it this way or this way? I think I want it this way. So I'm going to line this up here and Just put a line in the middle. Is that the middle? Yeah. And put my notch there. And give it a bit of ink. So this one is a bit wider than the first one I told you, 1.5 inches. This one is 2.5 inches because I just used the piece that I had. So, I mean, the pockets really, you can just, often I just pick, you know, the pocket size based on what size scrap I have. So, and this one will just fit right there. Just kind of bend that up so you get it right in the crook there and it's not impeding the fold at all. And there's our side tuck. Yeah, I like that better. So there's our 2 pockets in. Now just a little bit of decorating. So on my other one, I just folded this piece in half and stuck that in here. Actually, let me see. Do I still want these on here now that I changed the pockets? Yeah, I think I do. Do I want it there or there? Maybe there. Yeah, so I'll put that on in a minute. And then I also have on this side, I have the I put the tag on a different one, so I can have this one, and I stuck, I mean, you could do this any way you want, but I'll stick my little piece of ephemera, my flashcard in there, and those 2 can live in that spot. And then in the back, I have our coin envelope and our bigger journaling card. It can live in the back. And I think I will also glue that trim right there. And then I also have on the other one, I had a tag here, just, I think I made it into like a little tuck spot. So I'm just going to glue it on 2 sides. And that will be a little tuck spot in the back. These are mainly little notebooks and I don't want them to be too thick to, you know, put in a pocket or glue on like a belly band or something like that. So I'm just trying to make them not a little bit of decoration, but not a whole lot, and mostly flat. So I've got another label here. I like these labels. So laughter. Then on the other one I had peaceful. I wonder if I should put peaceful somewhere else. I had it right up here, but now it's going to be, because I have this pocket thicker, I think I'm going to change my mind. So if I have it there and I also have this there, that's not going to probably... Yeah, I don't want both. I'm just going to glue this trim on so I can see what we're doing. Just kind of glue a couple of flowers at a time and then let it kind of dry a bit. Where am I going to go here? I think I'm going to do this one and maybe just stretch it a tiny bit. And then I'm also going to glue one on here, I think about like that. I use kind of a cheaper glue. In Canada, art glitter glue and Fabri-Tac and those kinds of glues can be enormously expensive, like $40 for a small bottle. So I did a bunch of experimenting early on in my journey here, and I decided I really liked Elmer's Glue All. It's a, I think I have a bottle Just 1 second. I just bought a brand new bottle because I used up my other one. And this bottle is almost a liter, and it was $12. And this lasts for a long, long time. So I like, obviously it doesn't work squeezing it out of there. So I just refill this little bottle. That's a little bit of a trick, but if you pour really slow, it's not too bad. And I just refill this little bottle and use it out of there. And it's not quite as fast drying as art glitter glue, but it holds really well. And it's very inexpensive. So I just give it a little bit extra time to dry, which is fine with me most of the time. I need to refill this pretty quick again. It's getting empty. I'm just going to use my little, is that straight? Use my little clip here to hold the ends of that, so the other one's probably fine. Okay, and then let's trim this one off and get this one glued on. This trim I just found at a thrift store, and I don't think I even paid for it. This particular thrift store, they just sort of, nothing is really priced. You just sort of pick what you want and you go up to the front, and then he decides what he's going to charge you, and it's usually very, very fair. And I think I had some little bits and pieces of lace and stuff like that, and he just threw them in. He didn't even count them, so I wish I had more because I really like that. Okay, so then now I have another label. So I could put it there. I think it would look better there than the other pocket. What do you think? I think I'll put it right there. I think I will put it right there. The decorating is fun, and it's very subjective. You know, everybody does it a little bit differently because different things appeal to us, and the main thing is that it looks good to you. If it looks good to you, then it's right. And you know, we don't all have the same tools and papers and supplies, and we just use what we have and make it work for us. And that's the beauty of this sort of crafting. So I have that, and then I want to have, I guess I'll have to wait 1 second for that to dry. Sometimes I like to just poke some little tickets. I think just to balance this one, I'll put this one on this side. Poke some things behind the things in the pocket on, you know, right on the folio or whatever. And then when you pull the things out of the pocket, there's still something interesting to look at. So I got that one, and I got one more that I had here, but I think that's too much for there. I could stick it here, 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 anywhere. I might just leave that one off for now. So let's see, I can probably take that one off now. So then I want to have a closure. So what I decided on this closure, and I had made this once before, like I told you months ago. And what I did is I glued this side, and then I just tucked this under the open edge like that. If I was doing that again, I would probably back, this is on thin cardstock, but I'd probably back it on a thicker cardstock. But I ordered some Velcro dots from one of the inexpensive places, and I can't remember. It was either AliExpress or something like that. Not that I order a ton of stuff from there, but I just can't remember. But this is how they came, and they're really, really flat, which is what I really like about them. And one side is clear and one side is white. So you take the white side and put it wherever you want. In this case, I'm going to put it on the flap. And then you take the other side, the clear side, and I just match it up to here and leave the sticky side up, and then close it, and then just leave it for a couple of seconds so the adhesive has time to work, and then you just pull it apart and you're done. So there is our project. So very similar, but we did it a little bit different, which is how I love to do these things. A little bit shorter, a little bit different papers. I'll just give you another quick little flip through, see if this is, yeah, it should be dry enough. So it flips open like this, and this opens like this. We have our vertical pocket, one of the journaling cards with a secret spot with a flash card in there, and a little piece of the ephemera that we folded to stick in there. Oops. And then we have our little tiny signature with a couple of labels on it. This is a little tuck spot. We can tuck something into there if we want. This is our coin envelope that we made, the little label on it. And here's our journaling card that we backed on coffee dyed cardstock, and our other pocket. And there we are. So thank you for hanging in there with me, guys, and watching. And I'm going to be making more projects with the Scrimping Mummy. So if you like these types of projects, then please like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you won't miss anything, as they say. And we'll see you in the next video. Blessings.